Okay, we're coming to the end here for this, another reason why we believe in God. We began last week with the idea of we believe that human beings are different. They have been given a greater responsibility, and obviously that comes with that a greater accountability to God. And God has made us slightly different. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe that there is such a thing as ultimate truth, then it's very difficult from your perspective to come up with any reason why people ought to be moral. And perhaps that's why, one of the reasons why sometimes we look at the world and we see such a mess. We see man's inhumanity to man, and you wonder, what on earth's going on there? And quite often it's because people don't have some sort of moral compass in their lives, and therefore they feel comfortable with whatever happens and whatever they're capable of, and there's nothing to hold them back. In other words, for some of us, the ultimate restriction for our lives is one day we're going to face God and give an answer to God for what we've accomplished in our life, and that won't, for some of us, may not be the best day. But thankfully, because we're in Christ, it won't be the worst day either. Because He may wrap us over the fingers, but He said you're saved anyway. Get Him by the skin of your teeth. Because of Jesus, not because of us. Right. But really, to be consistent, if you don't believe in God, then there's no reason why you should have a moral compass. There's no reason why, or how do you... Matter of fact, there's an interesting thing about evolution. If you really believe in evolution, then the older generation should give way to the younger generation. Because the younger generation, being further along in the evolutionary track, why should they listen to anything you could say? Because they're further evolved. They're the next level. So why should anything you say to them about morality or anything else be of some sort of guide to them? So a natural thing is that's why often in families you get a lot of rebellion. Because there's no respect, there's no need for respect. I mean, if I'm a further evolutionary developed than you are, why should I respect you? And it's almost like a natural consequence. If there is no respect for elders because they do know better in some situations, and they have good wisdom and experience, rather than from an arrogant perspective, well, if I'm further developed than you, I know the answers. You don't know the answers. And so you get a rebellious situation. In this book, this gentleman here says, Ethics Without God, atheist Kai Nielsen says, or admitted, that to ask is murder evil is to ask a self-answering question. And we touched on that a little bit last week. By what standard is something described as evil? And when we look at the moral standards that are produced by atheism, for example, relativism, it just depends. For example, suggests there are no universal objective criteria for determining any moral or ethics, because different people evolve different ways, they come up with different things. It's okay for them to do, but it's not okay for you to do because you're in a different evolutionary path. And so there's no ultimate objective morality. It depends, every society will depend on their own, or develop their own sense of some sort of rules and regulations that will govern that society. And you sometimes see that, as I say, with gypsies and people like that. They don't see themselves as being part of the big picture. They see themselves as being almost like an isolated group within themselves. And they've got a moral code that is unique for them. Because, don't steal from us, each other, but anybody who's not a gypsy needs fair game. So they develop their own moral code system. And that's sometimes seen through there. It's interesting, actually. No, we'll go there. Okay. Another one is, which popular with the Greeks, hedonism is a philosophy which argues the aim of moral conduct is the attainment of the greatest possible pleasure with the greatest possible avoidance of pain. And that usually means, that's for the individual. If you're enjoying yourself, as long as it doesn't cause pain to you, but it doesn't necessarily say that it doesn't need to cause pain to other people, because some of their sense of enjoyment, a hedonist, is taking pleasure, is making pain in other people. That gives them pleasure.
Masochism.
So, yeah, well, that's one of the side issues of that. Yeah.
How about flogging me with a feather duster?
Well, it'll tickle you to death. And sometimes, in some cases, that's even worse than giving pain. You know, but anyway, that's the idea. The old adage where, well, I've said the story before, it's on record. If I say a mini in a car park, you automatically think of me and my wife in a car park. There's a mini with a bumper sticker that says, "If you feel like it, do it." And I says to my wife, I feel like putting a knife in this guy's tyres and then standing and waiting there with a knife in my hand and wait for him to come back. And he's going to commend me because I felt like it and did it. I don't think so. You go, "No, you didn't." See? Because it only works one way. If you feel like it, do it. Only works for you.
Yeah.
But if other people do what you felt like doing to somebody else, to them, that's not allowed. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a philosophy you can't live by, because it's okay while you're in the driving seat, but if the same thing's happening to you, oh, that's terrible.
Augustine's version of that was, how shall I put this? Take what you like, but pay for it.
Take what you like, but pay for it. Well, that's
In other words, there are consequences.
Yeah. Well, Augustine saw it, but this, you know, if you feel like you do it, implies there's no consequences.
Yeah.
It's used in advertising, isn't it? To
Often.
sell a brand.
Yes, quite often.
And the martini advert,
Yeah.
any place, anytime, anywhere.
That's right. There's lots of that, subtle stuff. And they sound good. They really sound good. But when you actually put them to practical test, you realise the limitations very quickly. And hedonism is part of that, because it doesn't recognise the consequences. Don't worry about the consequences. Eat, drink it, tomorrow we're going to die, so who cares? You know, basically do whatever you can get away with. Do unto others before they do you.
And there's another slogan that's used by the occult who use these T-shirts.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it.
See, it's telling you don't think.
Don't think about
No
it.
fear.
Just do it.
There's another one, isn't it? No fear.
No fear.
It's an advertisement brand that you get on,
Yeah.
you know, gym bags and stuff.
And that's a lie anyway.
Yeah.
No fear.
Yeah. I don't know how many of you saw that diving program the other day, where they dive in these outside in these rocky, the competitions all over the world, and they have these huge competitions, but these diving platforms are literally hundreds of feet up anyway. And you see the guys prepare mentally to actually even just stand on the end of them. And even though they're doing it all the time, there's an element of fear in there. Because it's not easy to look down and say, you know, that water's not soft. If I hit this the wrong way, you know, it gets badly damaged. So there's an element of that. So any sensible person, if ever they're doing something extreme like that, if they say they have no fear, then they're meant to be deranged. Because, you know...
They're not honest anyway.
Yeah, or dishonest. Because there must be an element, and sometimes it's the element of fear that spurs them on.
Yeah,
it's that buzz
Adrenaline.
that they get,
Challenge,
adrenaline buzz.
Adrenaline,
You know, when the body's hyped up at the wow, you know. I know the consequences, but obviously the other thing that happens to that is, it never happens to me. I'm not going to be the one who crashes. I'm not going to be the one when it hits the brick wall. It always happens to somebody else until it happens to you. Utilitarianism is the edifice that stands upon the foundation of hedonism. It suggests that good is that which ultimately gives the greatest amount of pleasure to the greatest number of people. So, to judge something as good, even if it hurts a whole bunch of other people, if the majority get the benefit out of it, then that's okay. So it doesn't, again, it's limited consequences, okay? As long as the majority get the benefit out of it, then who cares if it hurts a few people in the process.
Germany, the last war.
Yeah.
It was good, they were employed.
Yeah.
They built aircraft and submarines and weaponry.
Excellent.
Oh.
Because that came out of the basis of poverty, out of no jobs, which, you know, it should be commended. Keep as many people employed. Okay, what moral standards are produced by atheists? Okay, some more. Situationism. Teaches that something is right because the individual determines it's right on a case-by-case basis, thus invalidating the concept of a common moral law applied consistently. So we talk about situation ethics. That's a kind of difficult thing to get your head around, but it means some things in certain situations are okay, but in other situations they mightn't be okay. When you think back to the British and their time in South Africa, we were the first to invent concentration camps. And now we complain when other people do it. Anyway, determinism is the idea that man is not responsible for his actions. Okay? Even there's actually a religious version of this. If you like, Calvinism is a kind of basis of determinism. As Frank said on Sunday, he says if God has decided to save you, whether you want to be saved or not, it just doesn't happen. And if you want to be lost, you say, I don't care about God, but if God has decided to save you, tough, God's going to save you anyway. And determinism is fairly close to fatalism, or Lawrence of Arabia. Remember when he saved that guy from dying? And the Arab says, you should leave him, and he saved him. But later on, the guy did something wrong, and Lawrence had to shoot him. And the first thing the guy said was, I told you, you should have left it where it was. You know, it was his time to die, you know, and you messed things up, so you had to kill him off anyway.
There was a situation when Paul was washed up in the bay in Malta, and in that circle, and somebody in the crowd said, this man's a murderer, for he hasn't escaped.
That's right. He just escaped out of the sea, and now his snake's got him tough. He was determined to die. God has decided it was his time, but of course he lived. Which, wow, made a difference then. Okay, so there's two world views, you know, from belief in God or belief in and not belief in God, and the consequences of those world views spill down. There's consequences on both sides, if you like, or natural conclusions to the different beliefs. So, because we believe in God wants our highest good, and then we believe that God, when He says something and we don't like it, He doesn't say it because He's a God and says, I don't care whether you like it or not, you're going to do it anyway. He says it because He knows if we don't do that, then the consequences are, further down the line, we're going to get hurt. So He tries to prevent this. Matter of fact, lots of parents do the same thing, don't they? They try to give wise guidance to their children as they're growing up. And what happens? The average child says, he knows nothing. And then, you know, when he staggers back in a bit later on, having hurt himself in some way, he then, if he's honest, he says, Dad, you were right. You know, I wish I'd listened to you. But how many do? You know? Somebody said if you don't learn from history, then you're bound to repeat the mistakes of history. Okay? Absolute from God. God set the rules. That's what we have in the Bible. God sets the rules. Whereas if we just believe that we evolved from through a whole chain of events, then what right has anybody to tell us what is right? Because there's no such thing as what is right. Okay? So it's all relative. Darwin said, with savages, the weakened body or mind are soon eliminated, and those that survive commonly exhibit a vigorous state of health. We civilized men, on the other hand, do our utmost to check the process of elimination. We build asylums for the imbecile, the maimed and the sick. We institute poor laws, and our medical men exert the utmost skills to save the life of everyone to the very last moment. You know, if they're imbeciles, kill them off.
He'd be accused of being a racist today.
He would, or even worse.
Savage, yes.
A lot of people who talk about Germany and Hitler with the 6 million Jews forget there are a lot of handicapped people that Hitler eliminated. Because they didn't fit into the master-race plan. And a lot of people who he just didn't like. And that was one of the things under Mao Zedong in China. If you didn't like your neighbour, because everybody was dobbing everybody else in to get them into trouble, if you didn't like your neighbour and you fancied something of his, the quickest way to get something of his was to tell the state that he's an enemy of the state. They come and carry him off, and you're free to do what you like. You know, it's just a crazy system. Yeah.
You couldn't go into the synagogue, right, if you were disabled, could you?
No, That was an interesting concept as well. I mean, if you go back to Leviticus, the laws of Leviticus, if somebody had a defect, and a particularly serious defect, you wouldn't be allowed to go into the Holy of Holies. Well, you wouldn't go in. The centre of the tabernacle. There were certain places that you were only allowed to get into. But that was for a different purpose. That wasn't because you wanted to kill everybody off. That was to keep, God wanted people to know that He wanted us to be purified, wanted to be right. And so any sign of weakness or any sign of disability, he was trying to teach a moral, a spiritual lesson out of it, as opposed to a moral, as opposed to somebody who just didn't like disabled people and put them away. So it's slightly different.
Was it God who said that, or man?
No, God, Leviticus, full of it. Interesting. But in their day, I mean, now some of the nations round about would just kill them off. But he gave them, he allowed them to live, but under certain restrictions. Okay. Same with lepers. You know, lepers were to be kept away for hygiene purposes, for stopping the spread of leprosy and stuff like that. So there was certain Levitical laws for purification, and he was trying to instill into people a sense of holiness, a sense of rightness with God. But it's tricky in our day looking back at that. It's a tricky situation.
It wasn't because leprosy was contagious.
No.
It was just the idea of the impurity.
Impurity.
Otherwise, a priest wouldn't examine a fellow, would he?
No.
It was contagious.
No.
And he had to go to the priest and show himself to the priest that he was healed of this.
Yeah. So it's an interesting concept. This also comes into the idea of God choosing a nation and then making that nation a special nation.
Priesthood.
You could actually say he was being selective, but he was selective for a religious purpose, because ultimately he was going to bring about the ultimate sacrifice, the pure, blameless Son of God. So his is a religious reason to help people in their age understand something about the holiness of God. Whereas Darwin and his side, that's just eliminate them because they're not worth living. So there's a difference in motive, if you will.
They're a burden.
And when Jesus came, he showed that he cared.
And Jesus, yes,
We hear
that's
that,
a
yeah.
good thing,
The man born blind. Never been done before.
And
Lame from birth.
that's interesting, that question, because they said to Jesus, who sinned, himself or his parents? That when he was born blind, because they believed he could have sinned in a previous existence. Jesus said, neither this man nor his parents.
Yeah, he's blind because of this accident of birth. And all religions, atheism, agnosticism, humanism, and New Age movement are all produced from an atheistic background. And some of the governments, famous governments, Germany, fascism, and Hitler's Nazism. I think it was, I always get too mixed up, but either Solzhenitsyn or Dostoevsky. I think it was Solzhenitsyn. He said in the 70 years of communist Russia, 69 million of their own people ended up in the gulags or being killed. Threat to the government, somebody saying something, people who denounced by their neighbours, stuff like that. He says in 70 years we killed 69 million people under a communist, atheistic government. Go back a little bit before that. We talk about the 6 million Jews. We think, the Jews are very good at keeping their cause in the limelight. But very few people talk about the 20 million people that Stalin got rid of when he came to power. In his reign of terror, and some people will say it did good for the country, and depending how you look at it, it did bad for the country. But Stalin killed 20 million, eliminated potential rivals, 20 million people. And then communism, in its 70 years, eliminated 69 million of its own people. And they blamed Christianity for causing all the wars. Causing all the trouble and killing off all the people. Here's practical atheism in action. And they've done far more in their sphere than we've ever done. So politics, dictatorships, Communism, corporations with no moral compass. Mrs. Thatcher doing a great job. The country's in a mess, 60, 67, 65, 67, up to 69. Every strikes all the time, stuff out in, rubbish left out in the tip, and everybody going to strike for this, that, and the next thing. She stopped that, for right or wrong. She stopped that, but then she allowed people to buy their own houses and make loads of money and stuff like that. But she didn't instill in the people who are making all the money a moral compass. Look, if I give you the ability to make money, then have a social responsibility what you do with that money. It doesn't matter who's in government, whether it's Conservative or Labour, but there seems to be behind certain philosophies a principle of, while I'm in power, I'll look after my mates, so that when I lose power, my mates will be in a position to look after me. And so privatisation, the principle is good, that we should make a profit, but the application is poor, because the people who are making the profit don't want to share the profit with the people that are even their own workers sometimes.
British Gas.
So, yes, case in point.
They don't face up to their own responsibility.
They don't. And same with paying taxes. They'll go to find someone else out of the country, so they don't have to contribute their fair share. Google.
Devious.
Yeah, if Google makes 50 billion from British citizens buying stuff from Google, then it should pay tax on that 50 billion rather than have a tax place in somewhere else in
Cayman Islands.
and Ireland.
No,
One of them.
near France.
And both.
Yeah.
And having a tax haven.
Jersey.
So they say, oh no, we deal with our taxes over there, so therefore, no. If you make money in a particular country, you should pay your taxes for that country.
Well, that chap, who is it? The Virgin chap, what's his name?
Branston.
Yeah,
he's moved out.
He's moved out, right.
That's further on. I mean, once you get the first couple of million, what more do you want?
Yeah.
More than one church at a time, can't he?
Okay, I mean, some companies want to pay 90 pence in a pound
You
taxes.
can only wear one shirt at a time.
But, it could be a bit rough.
One pair
But
of
having
shoes.
said that, when you're talking about millions of pounds, or billions of pounds in some cases, surely, if they paid their fair share, we wouldn't have to pay so much as ours. So, there's got to be, if you have the privilege brings with it responsibility.
Yeah.
And ultimately, responsibility should bring about accountability. And whenever a government helps somebody to get on in life, it should be with the understanding that when you do get their feet on more solid ground, that they put something back into the nation. And that's really fair.
That's why I admire Bill Gates. All his money is gone. Microsoft man.
Yeah.
All his money has been given to charity. All of it.
That's probably a tax loophole,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah, really have.
He is doing a lot of good. I mean, he has a lot of money.
Extremely.
But I don't think he's living in poverty. But anyway, there's a tax break in there somewhere, which is good. But at least he's paying something back, which is really what it's all about. If you just make his software a little bit cheaper than we could afford.
But he's out of the business now, though.
Yeah, but it's still his principles. Anyway, it's a moral compass, isn't it? If you do well, then surely let others benefit from your bounty.
He's doing better than the other ones, and then he gives them something back.
Well, that's right. And I mean, he's not the first, because we've got places, Carnegie Hall. You have Carnegie Halls all over the world, where somebody's made a lot of money and he's pumped some of it back in, and even now his name's remembered for some of the stuff he's done.
Tresham College as well. Tresham College.
The guy down here, he's given a bit back into the community.
But Andrew Carnegie was a bad employer. He was a slave employer, really. Treated, minimal wages.
I think when you get older in life, when you get a bit closer, to God, then you begin to realise that I better do some good here.
Responsibility.
I knew a man, Jack Bible used to tell me about a friend of his. He was a Roman Catholic guy, but he was a really nice guy. But he would go down every morning, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and he would pay for a mass every day, to a mass to be said. because he was getting to that point where he was frightened of what the future was going to bring,
Much good
and he thought
idea.
if he could spend enough, he'd be able to be okay when he died.
Oh.
But he was doing it out of fear.
Yeah.
Mm.
He was frightened. He was getting that closer to death he was getting, the more frightened he was getting, and so he thought he could use his money to buy something
Security.
back, you know.
And it's not doing any good anyway.
Unfortunately, no.
No.
But you know, it's really, you know, sometimes we live our lives without thinking the consequences. And it's only as we get older that we realise that, you know, maybe we should put someone back in from what we've got out. So societies of humanistic influence, psychology, erosion of its constitutional rights to religious freedoms. We're seeing that in our country especially. But it's really funny now because if you go into schools, you must teach religion. But if you are, the Christian religion is the dominant thing in your country, that's the one you teach least. You emphasise all the others.
Because you don't want to offend them.
That's because you don't want to offend them. They're not crazy. It ends up, you know lots about these others, but you don't know anything about your own. And it's,
They're busy offending us.
well, this is true.
That's
this is
true enough. Yeah.
So the works of flesh are absolutely acceptable: adultery, fornication, pornography, drunkenness, gambling, homosexuality, abortion, euthanasia. The only sin is to say that such things are wrong. Where have you had that? Okay. So this is really the end product, the natural end product, from an atheistic perspective.
Yeah.
You know, what is right? Who is to say what is right? How can you condemn me for what I'm doing? Because who are you? What do you know? And so, a lot of people, you know, to be fair to atheists, a lot of people don't think that far. They just accept the philosophy and don't really think about some of the wider applications of it. And some of the atheists I've met are better living than I am. They're really nice people. You know? Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I've met some excellent atheists. And that's tragic, you know, because, but I suppose David, Frank would tell you better than me, David sitting in his cave looking down at all of his enemies getting on really well down the valley, and he said, God, what's I'm the king, I'm supposed to be the king, why are they getting on so well? And basically, in my parlance, God's answer is, let them enjoy the 70 years. Let them enjoy the 70 years. We've got an eternity with God. You know, if they've got it so badly, they're going to be in bad trouble for their eternity. So let them have a 70 years is nothing.
We think life seems so long.
Yeah.
No.
Until you get older.
Until you get older.
Gwen, if an atheist is better living than you are, by what standard does he live? If you said there's no standard.
Well, the thing is, a lot of their moral standards to pick up. A lot of atheists I know used to go to Sunday school. You know, they've already got the. You know, they've already been. Understand, you know, they've got to church schools, and they've already got a moral basis, and therefore, though they reject God later in life, they wouldn't admit it, but they still keep those moral principles, and you know, and do a good job with it.
So in fact, they've been cloned. They're not true.
Yeah,
They're not.
They have
They're not entirely atheistic.
They're not living their true philosophy. You know, they've accepted enough.
Accepted the theory, but not the practice.
Yeah.
Right.
And the sad thing is, a lot of Christians have accepted the theory and not the practice. You know, so
That's right.
Nietzsche, who was really a real bad guy, but he, in his lifetime, the reason why he ended up with the philosophy he did, he was looking around at what the church of his day was doing and seeing all the hypocrisy in it, and he said, if that's Christianity, you know, and he wrote some really strong stuff against Christianity.
But that was corrupt Christianity, wasn't it? But he wouldn't recognise that.
Well, it's interesting because there's a guy I know, in his office, he teaches in a religious college, and in his office, when you walk into his office, against the wall is a picture of Nietzsche. He's got a picture of Nietzsche on the wall. And people who know, you know, philosophy think, what on earth you got that there for? He says, I want him to be a challenge to my life. I want him to see that Christianity can be lived in a real Christian manner and not be the hypocrisy that he was familiar with.
Yeah.
So he every day challenges me to live my life as a real Christian rather than create morning sheets.
Did you know that Gorbachev sent his children to Sunday school?
I wouldn't be. I've heard.
It's
I've
true,
read a couple of biographies,
Send his children to Sunday school.
which is interesting in the Russian Orthodox Church. But it's interesting.
Well,
But-
sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the size of the Sunday school that we used to have here, where it filled half the auditorium,
Yeah.
where are those children now? And what?
I
We
met them.
planted the seed.
Yeah.
We planted the seed in them, but it's yet to.
And Frank got an email from somebody about 2 years ago, married, living in London, got 3 kids or something, and she still remembers what you were
The
doing
Sunday school,
in
yeah.
Sunday school.
Yeah.
And she actually is got a religious part of her life, but obviously we wouldn't agree with it. But it's still, the stuff that you taught her in Sunday school has still played a big part in life.
That's true.
And if I had somebody come with a parcel about 2 months ago, and I opened the door and she said, "You're Peter Morrison's dad, aren't you?" And she was from our Sunday school.
Yeah.
Must be about 45-year-old, 35-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So, but the thing is, that's a good thought, that the things that you do in your life and the people that you meet, you never know the value
That's right.
of the things that you do as you pass through people's lives.
One Catholic archbishop actually said, "Give me a child until he's 7 years of age, and you can do what you like with him after that."
Yeah, because
I
you've got
don't know if that goes down too well these
Because
days.
it's instilled into them
Yeah.
in the early years.
But it's interesting. So I mean, this is you don't know the good that you do as you walk through life,
You know.
and it's important therefore to do the good because you don't know. There's another story, and I believe it's not. I believe it's a true story. There was a young man ended up in prison, and he ended up in prison because of an alcohol problem. He killed somebody. But he said when the priest came in, when the vicar came in to see him, he said to the vicar, he recognised the guy. He says, "You're the reason I'm here."
I remember the
And
story.
the guy says, "What? How can you be? What do you mean?" He says, "I went to a party when I was in my teens, about 13, 14, and I didn't know what to do because there was alcohol and everything there. And I thought, I'll watch what the minister does." And he says, "You were the minister." And he says, "You took a drink." And I thought, well, it's okay for him, it must be okay for me. So he took a drink. The minister could handle his drink. This guy ended up with an alcoholic problem. And in that phase, he killed somebody. He says, if you'd been a better example, I mightn't be here today.
I remember.
He was in death row.
Yeah.
He was in death row.
Who's that? Is that Frank Skinner?
It does look like it, doesn't it?
Looks like Frank Skinner. What's he doing up there?
Who's Frank Skinner?
The one with his knees.
Oh, he's a
Compare, is it?
He's a comedian.
Comedian.
Please,
One of the
that's-
alternative comedians.
No, not.
No, he's not too bad. Well, it depends.
It's Al Jolson.
Depends how late he is on at night.
He has made everything beautiful in his time, he says. Also,
Oh.
he has
That
put,
before he was whacked up.
he has put eternity into our hearts. Except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. Okay, we're limited, but we can catch a glimpse of who God is. There's something, there must, a lot of people are at that point in life where they say, or a certain point in life where they say, there's got to be something else.
Yeah.
There's got to be something else. Okay? And when you get to that point, then God's waiting for you. Man intuitively has a desire to worship a supreme being. Even the most barbaric savages have this trait. And actually, there are few really true atheists, unless they've been educated to think that way. And in Britain, that's a real problem. We have educated our children to become anti-God.
Nobody's born an atheist, that's a fact.
That's true.
The very fact that man is a religious being is evidence that the characteristic was placed within him by his designer God. And if we don't worship God, we end up worshipping something else.
Yes, right.
Aston Villa, I mean, some people have got real gods. Our car, our wife.
John Tannencoe used to say when he left the house when he was young, he says, and you know, something about, and just, I'll leave you with your God. And what he meant was my big hi-fi. He used to often say that, I'll leave you with your God. Because he thought that was my God, the hi-fi.
Yes.
You were the audio man,
Of course, there's the other. Their stomach is their gods. You know, gluttony.
I mean, I'm going to. My one needs feeding all the time.
You've got problems, eh?
I know you believe in the devil because you've got his eye in your living room.
Yeah.
TV. Yes, and that's interesting at the moment. But I mean, they've got some tests running at the moment where some people's houses, well, the TV actually is watching them.
Yes.
And they're watching TV,
Really?
TV's watching them. And then a nation is watching them being watched on their own TV. And you're thinking, wow, what?
And then they wonder how God knows everything.
That's right. I mean, if you get that in the wrong hands, you know, state controlled, where you're instantly watching TV, while you're watching TV, without them letting you know.
North Korea.
They're watching you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, classic example.
Yeah.
Did you see the documentaries on
I saw a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really horrific.
There's the state speakers are in every room.
Yeah.
Never mind out in the streets,
Yeah.
and it's pumping this
Especially
propaganda
about-
to them all the time.
Yeah.
They've got one television station.
Yeah.
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 They even got their own internet.
So-
Government control. I mean, they haven't got access to our
no,
internet.
they've just got the one button on the computer. That's it.
But it is. It's control, isn't it? And it's frightening, really.
Mm.
But our God is in control, but He's a beneficial God.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
If He's watching us, it's for our good rather than His
Control.
control purposes. The predecessor of religion is the most complex and powerful force in the human mind, in all probability, an ineradicable part of human nature. Thus, both believers and non-believers readily admit that religion is ingrained in man. Yet no chimpanzee or dog ever stopped to build an altar, sing a hymn of praise, or give a prayer of thanks. Man's unique inclination to worship someone or something, and the fact that he is amenable to God, is a vital part of the image of God that He bears.
Well, no atheists ever stopped to build an altar, so an atheist and the chimpanzee have a lot in common.
Yeah.
What in common?
You can expect a lot of monkey business from it.
That's not quite true, Frank, because lots of atheists build altars, but they're usually to commend themselves.
You know.
Oh yeah.
This is dedicated to me. Okay. Anyway, we'll hold it there. But it's interesting, and one more on this, and then we'll. So not next week because it's bonfire night.
Oh goodness.
And I know you're all excited.
See these pagan.
You've got to support your government.
Buy a firework.
So they're not
Do you know,
First things first, you see.
a law against explosives, and then they sell you them over the counter.
Well, in my home, it's been a tradition for the last.
It's a religion in his home.
We're going together. It's a romantic evening together.
By the big lake, not the
So
firework.
you guys can come together if you like and have your own class, but we'll be out praising the
Skies.
the skies.
Sky's the limit.
Okay, Frank.
What got a winder that winds these Tuesdays quicker? Because they seem to be coming very quick these days.
You're getting older, Roger.
Yeah, you're slowing down.
You're getting older.
I just thought, look,
The weeks
Tuesday again.
when you get older, the weeks get shorter.
It does seem like that
It's exciting, you
sometimes.
see. You're so excited to be here tonight.
Really?
Frank, please, a little bit.
Heavenly Father, at the end of